Halloween
forever.
Well, just hold on just a second, Steve. What do you call what do you call a Christmas wreath made out of $100 bills?
What do you call it, Brian?
Just hold on a second, Steven. You call it a wreath of Franklins.
I like that one.
It was good, right?
I like that
Welcome,
one.
boys and ghouls,
Yeah.
to a very Christmassy episode of Halloween's Forever. My name is Brian.
I'm Steve.
Steve, I'm kind of proud of myself. I pulled off the Jimmy Stewart impression for a solid 10 seconds. And it didn't go completely fucking sideways. I'm actually pretty proud of myself on that one.
It's kind of hard to go super sideways. I think the worst you could just wind up is doing Fred Gwynn from Pet Sematary.
Well, so two things I noticed, because before we jumped on, I was like, well, that's how I do. You act befuddled, right? You go like, hold on a second. But one thing I noticed that I do is I go, don't go down that road. You go too major on it. Yeah, don't go down that road. Or what I learned that I start to do doing a Jimmy Stewart is I start to go Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah, that'll happen to you too.
And then it's is he smart?
Has he got a wreath like me?
Okay. It's like, then now it's sad, but I'm actually pretty proud of myself, actually, especially after 4 or 5 beers that I stuck with the Jimmy Stewart there. I'm pretty happy with myself. Anyway, guys, we're in it. We're in for all of you out there, for you goddamn curmudgeons, the folks who are like, I don't celebrate Christmas until Thanksgiving comes. Guys, Thanksgiving's pre-Christmas. Don't fucking kid yourself. Or even worse, the people who are like, I don't start celebrating. I'm going to say that I don't start celebrating Christmas. They're Jimmy Stewart too, because now it's stuck in my head. I don't start celebrating Christmas until December 1st. First of all, what are you, a fucking fascist? First of all, enjoy your life, you rat fucks. We're in it. We're in December. So we are delving hardcore, deep, so deep into that Christmas spirit this week. You'll notice, though, some of you out there might be saying, well, hold on a dang on second here, guys. Where's our showdown episode?
They're saying, hold on now.
Hold on now, just a second now.
We were promised the secret showdown.
Here's what happened, guys. Life. All right, life happens. Our guest, our super secret guest, which for the Secret Satan Showdown for December, had life things, right? So we had to, unfortunately, we don't have a guest for this week. Shit happens. Life happens. Turns out podcasts aren't number one priority in everybody's life. So, unfortunately, our guest was not able to join us. Hopefully, they'll be able to join us in the future. For the time being, we don't have a guest, so we got to delay our showdown episode, our Secret Satan Showdown for December. We're going to figure it out, guys. But what this means is you're going to get just an extra minisode. And for all the, those who have been around the old podcast here for a second, minisodes ain't mini. They're full damn length episodes here, guys. So we're going to talk about, this just gives us an opportunity to be a little bit more on topic. For this given week, we're going to talk about a movie that just dropped as a Shudder exclusive, but I think, did it have a limited theatrical run?
It may have.
Or was it streaming somewhere else? Because it was available.
Well, I assume, because like a lot of these, like you can buy them on streaming platforms, but this one came out on Shudder for free. I do think it might have had a 1 or 2 night theater release, maybe. It may have, but
yeah, something happened with it. You could find it. People were talking about for about a week in very small doses. Now it's Shudder exclusive. It's streaming for all you Shudder subscribers out there. We're going to be talking about 20 and 23's It's a Wonderful Knife, guys. If you're thinking about it's kind of like It's a Wonderful Life, but it's a knife because it's a slasher film, guys. It's mid at best. We're going to talk about that here in a hot damn second.
I disagree.
You think it's above mid?
Not so much that it's above mid, but
goddamn.
Here's the thing. In the parlance of the children, mid is a real insult anymore.
Yes.
Because
agreed.
Because the younger generation can't have anything that's average. Now, to us, I think, yes, to us, this film is pretty average, but I think there's a lot of good things about it that does set it apart.
A lot is a strong word. I think it's mid in the parlance of the times.
Well, then I guess
we'll get into all
I guess we disagree.
We
then
might disagree. We might disagree. That's okay. That's going to make it a fun little podcast here for a goddamn second. In any case, before we do that, a couple of things we got to do at the top of the show. As always, I will mention, because I oftentimes forget, we are available. Have you guys heard about these here social medias? There's a whole shitload of them. You got your Facebook, you got your Twitter, you got your dang old Instagrams, you got all those nonsense. We're on all of them. You go out there, you search Halloween's Forever, you'll find us on there. We're a little pixelated pumpkin guy. You'll find us on there. We do spooky ooky shit on the internet all the dang time. Also, we do a episode. We do sweet, spicy content every fucking Monday. So if you want a podcast to listen to on your Monday commute or whenever the hell you're, going to work or whatever, subscribe, like, follow, whatever the fuck that, the podcaster of choice that you use does, so you can get them dang old episodes every fucking Monday. But before we get into some other orders of business we got to talk about at the top of the show, we got beers. We were talking about them off recording here. Steve went on a little beer shopping spree today. I did a little bit, not quite as extensive probably as you did. But what'd you grab?
I had a beer adventure today, just a little bit, and it started with I wanted to go up to Creekside, which is a local place for us, and
great spot. Yeah,
the Brewery Epic for the holiday season. They released a 6 stout mix-a-pack. So
that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to treat myself for the holidays and I'm going to get 6 big old stouts and that'll keep me like if I drink one a week, that's, that'll keep me,
Yeah, sure.
I get up there and I don't know why, but my brain was thinking, it's going to be like a $44 6-pack and I'll spend a little bit of money on myself. It is an $80 6-pack.
Whoa, Jesus, $80 for now. These are what, bomber size beers? What's the size of these beers?
Yeah, they're bomber size. So like they're not. I mean, they're not stovepipes, unfortunately. But yeah, it's 6 bomber size. Stouts.
That's a lot of money, though.
Yeah, so I balked at that and I said no. I pass.
Yeah, I think I would have been along with you there.
Yeah, because for the price point I originally had in my mind of $44, I got 8 beers and one of those like little tubs of Hers chocolate covered pretzels.
Yeah, that'll do you right.
Yeah, so I'm way ahead of the game. But I saw 2 beers at JR's. I bought some beers at Creekside and then I went to JR's. And then I saw 2 beers that I want to tell you about because I don't know how long they're going to last. They didn't have that much left there. So I'll tell you about them for you to go get them because I think they might interest you.
I'm all ears.
From Fatheads, they have released a barrel-aged Doppelbock series.
Yeah. See, listen, I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I know you're intrigued. So I figured it would intrigue you. Maybe it'll, get you to go get some. I don't know. But I just want to let you know. Don't let me, ever feel like I never told you about something.
Don't tell me I didn't keep you abreast of developments, Doppelbock related developments.
Yeah, but they're barrel-aged
Doppelvelements.
Doppel news. I'm the Doppler radar.
Fine.
I'm the Doppler radar.
There you are. There you go. There was a joke in there. I missed it. You got it. All right.
But they're aged in bullet cask barrels.
Okay.
And they have 2 of them. One is meant to mimic an old fashioned, and one is meant to mimic like cinnamon toast, but it's also aged in the rye barrel. So,
okay.
Yeah, things to look out for. But that's not what
sounds fun.
That's not what I'm drinking tonight.
All right.
What I'm drinking is something to get you mad. You're going to
get your anger up the blood.
Yeah, you're going to stay mad, Sweaty. So this is, if you're listening to this on Monday, it's my birthday.
Oh, yeah. I knew it was coming. I knew it's before, it's between the Thanksgiving, Christmas season here. I couldn't remember. I'm terrible with birthdays. I know like my kids, me, my wife, and barely my parents. So I'm bad with birthdays, but I knew it's coming up.
Yeah. See, I know mine, my dad's, and Meg's because they're all in the same month.
Oh, that's easy to remember. Yeah.
But yeah, so because it's my birthday, I found it from Creekside Abjuration. They released a birthday cake ice cream sour.
Ooh, wow, they really did you dirty on your birthday, didn't they?
Didn't do me dirty.
You like this type of garbage, but sure.
Yeah. It just looks
birthday
like a really
cake sour sounds. It is the exact opposite of a beer that I would like to put in my face.
Oh yeah, that's why I knew it would make you mad. But it looks just like a cloudy fucking like golden ale. It doesn't look,
Well, if you held that up and said, "Hey, this is a, slightly hazy IPA," I would have been like, "Okay."
Yeah. But no, it is an ice cream sour, meaning it is made with birthday cake, icing, vanilla soft serve, and milk sugar.
That's honestly disgusting, Steven. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I am not.
What is it? So is it just like sour vanilla? Like,
yeah,
I imagine it's much more sweet than sour.
Yeah, it's more sweet than sour, but it's like tangy. Have you ever just eaten icing out of the Duncan Hines tub?
Kate, listen, Kate and I will oftentimes just dip things in icing.
Yes.
So, Steve, we've known each other long enough. Do you think I'm the type of guy who hasn't just dipped things in icing? Yes,
just checking.
Obviously
I'm just
done
checking.
that before. Yeah.
Look, I don't want to make assumptions about people's lives, even though I did assume that you have done this. But
well, I actually had, this is a slight side story. I had a very good friend of mine in college who used to get a jar of icing, Duncan Hines fucking chocolate icing, and a box of
graham crackers,
Teddy Grahams.
Yeah, Teddy Grahams.
Teddy Grahams, and just kill the whole thing. And I was like, dude, we're gonna have to cut your feet off.
I won't kill the whole thing, but I'll just throw some, graham crackers in there and just do some.
Yeah, I mean, it's delicious. I'm not fucking around. It's delicious. Yeah. It's just like it's just trying to kill yourself with sugar eventually.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what this beer tastes like, minus the graham crackers. It just tastes like eating vanilla frosting out of the Duncan Hines tub. I'm here for it. I'm not here for two of them, but I'm here for one of them. It's my birthday.
I'm here for 3 ounces of it, and 16 is too much. But you know what? I also I'm not quite. I don't have quite as much. I love candy and all that stuff, but I'm not quite as much of a sweet tooth as you are. But boy, that sounds absolutely disgusting. But you know what? You do you. It's your birthday. Do it up, Steve. I am going in a little different direction. I have a couple of beers before me. Here's my beer adventure today. This morning, we're recording this, a little peek behind the curtain here. We're recording this on December the 2nd. So this is Saturday. First Saturday in December. It'll release on Monday. We had breakfast with Santa this morning. So we do a little thing every year. Me, Kate, the girls, and then our close friends of ours who have 3 kids themselves. And then there's like grandparents. It's a whole thing. We're doing a whole big extended thing where we go to this place that's, relatively near us, and they do a whole breakfast with Santa thing, and the kids get to go and talk to Santa, and then we get to drink Bloody Marys and eat brunch, right? So it's a nice way to knock the old visit to Santa thing, out early in the season, and also Bloody Marys. Right. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And you get some bacon and some scrambled eggs and some freaking French toast and all that on top of it. So you go, you get, you fill yourself up on all that type of stuff. You have a couple Bloody Marys. The kids get to see Santa do a craft. And then you come home and take a nap in the afternoon. It's wonderful. So we had a nice little festive morning. Then this evening, the whole rest of the family, both my children, and Kate all had plans, various degrees of plans this evening. So I had kind of the evening to myself, which is quite a rare thing. So I thought, we're going to record a podcast, going to watch some hockey, going to drink some beers. I went down to this place. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called Burgers Brewing. I fucking go there all the time in Zelienople. Went down there, had a couple 2 Tree beers. Neil, good mutual friend of both of ours, part owner and brewer. He just put on a spruce beer on tap. I fucking love a spruce beer. You remember that hot sec in like the mid 2000s with the hop shortage because there was that big fire and everybody was making spruce beers?
Yeah.
I was the only person who liked him. I fucking love a spruce beer. Do you? Good.
I love just real quick. I almost bought some earlier at JR's because Log Yard put out a fucking spruce beer.
Oh, what a coincidence. Yeah. I feel like they're getting a little bit of a moment back. It's been like 10 years since anybody gave a shit about them. But for a second there, everybody was trying, they couldn't get various hop varieties, so they were using spruce tips in their beers. Yeah. And I loved them. Of course, it didn't have, it tastes like fucking spruce, not hops. Right. But that was back when piney hops were all the rage. In any case, our other mutual friend, Jack Smith, Neil went over and picked a whole bunch of spruce tips out of his yard, made a batch of beer. It's essentially an American amber ale with spruce tips and some, I wouldn't say it's a subtly to moderately hopped beer. It honestly tastes like old school Great Lakes Burning River.
Oh, okay.
Like, malty amber APA.
Yeah.
But sprucier. Yeah. And it's mellow. It's soft spruce. It's not like acrid and weird. It's so fucking good. So I had that, the Hellas, which is always great. And then I had one other beer. Oh, I had a Schwartz beer as well. And then I came home with a 4-pack of their Fest beer, which has caught quite a bit of attention, on all these, big beer sites and magazines and stuff like that. It got super highly rated, and they still had a few 4-packs of it. So I grabbed a couple of those, and then I grabbed the Deutschland Pills, and I just did pretty much the most predictable shit in the world and grabbed, German style lager beers. But that's what I'm drinking on here tonight. So I had some laggy beers and a spruce beer at Burgers, and just kind of sat in silence and just like stared at the draft board for a solid hour, like just let my brain just went brain death for a couple minutes. It was nice.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Cinderlands is another one that does spruce beers as well. They do a spruce IPA. So yeah, they're out there.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And you know who else did actually? What's the one there in Mars?
Stick City.
Stick City. They did a spruce beer last year.
Yeah.
I think. Or maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't remember.
But yeah. Anywhere you find somebody who has like a sense of like world conservation or whatever, or like Earth conservation, it seems like because Log Yard always does something. They do a lot of botanical stuff because of all the trees and shit in their area. So
goddamn trees, they're infested with them. Yeah, I love a spruce beer. I also just love generally herbally, florally, perfumey type of shit in general. So
yeah, love a botanical.
Here's where we are. We're past the beers, guys. Here, let's talk about real quickly. Before we get into this goddamn movie, let's talk about Patreon. Thank you for those who are patrons on Patreon. We've got Dan in the chat here currently, or in the Discord here currently, who Dan is slowly becoming just like almost a third host on the podcast because he always chimes in and keeps us honest on shit on the recordings, which is always fun. If you like to do that, because we do have a handful of folks who do regularly join us for recordings on in the Discord. If you want to do that, if you want to be a couple of those folks, Dan says no one can fill the bog hag's shoes.
Yeah, truth.
Listen, we all hashtag truth, guys. We're trying to fill those bog hag shoes. I actually, weirdly enough, my Apple Podcasts started playing after whatever podcast I was listening to the last time Meg was on as a guest, which was back in, I think
she was on the Punishment Show for October.
Oh, that's exactly what it was when we were talking about after we had done the Halloween showdown. Anyway, listen, the bog hag, she's out there. She's lurking around. She's claiming victims all over the countryside still here, guys. But if you do, want to come in and chill in the Discord and chime in and throw us off our game by throwing funny quips and things like that into the chat, please join us over on patreon.com/Halloween is forever. Steve, tell them because there's a couple other cool things aside from being part of the Discord that you can join in on.
Yeah. So, I mean, you jump over there. Like he said, you can jump on the Discord anytime. You can leave messages for us. You can leave suggestions for us. And you can be a part of the live episodes, which means almost always you get the episodes early because I have to edit these goddamn things later. So,
yeah.
So you get episodes early. You watch them happen live. You chime in. You get to be a part of the show. We give you shout outs. You go, hey, that's me. You can turn to your girlfriend and poke her in the side. Go, they're talking about me. You hear that? That's me.
That's what Dan's doing right this very second.
But, you get all that stuff. Also, I just dropped like a huge 3,000 word essay of reviews and recos of movies I've been watching over the past couple months.
I love a sweet sticky reco.
Yeah, you get so many recos. You get so many reviews.
There's so many goddamn new Christmas horror movies in the last 3 years, but especially this year. It's asinine, really.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many more.
Steve and I watch this goddamn trash so you don't have to, is basically what it comes down to.
It's helpful. It curates your tastes,
Mm-hmm.
So
we only got so many times. You're juggling your Christmas vacations and your Charlie Browns and all these types of things. You want to inject some holiday horror, as we all do. Steve will tell you the recos you want to follow versus the recos you want to avoid, because I'm about 1 for 6 this year on fucking new holiday horror movies.
You also get recos that aren't holiday horror, because if it weren't for me, I don't know how many you would find out about the 7th curse.
I am intrigued by this, guys. This might actually just need to be a mini-sode regardless of the season.
Yeah.
This sounds like it has big Boxer's Omen vibes.
Oh, it's super big Boxer Omen vibes, but also it's just huge Hong Kong excess from the 80s and 90s. It's like,
hell yeah.
It's based off a series of novels that were like kind of Indiana Jones inspired from the 80s. Yeah. This movie is out of fucking control. And I swear to God, we will just do it in January.
Steve was blowing me up one night. We were texting back and forth about something else, and he was like, complete non sequitur, go watch this fucking movie right now. It fucking rules. Don't be a pussy. Go fucking watch it. He just started blowing up about this movie. So I haven't had a chance to do it yet because I had to watch this movie and a couple other ones we got, but it's on my radar. Mm-hmm. What's it called again? Sorry, one more time.
The 7th curse.
The 7th curse. Yeah, I want to say the 7th omen because I was thinking the Boxer's Omen. Yeah, the 7th curse. So I'm intrigued, man. This sounds right up my alley. If you've got stuff like that, I mean, that's the shit that, honestly, if you deliver us a Boxer's Omen or something like that, and it's a suggestion that wasn't on our list, I think I will personally pay for your Patreon subscription. Like, I want that in our lives so bad that if you can deliver something
Venmo
like that,
you $5 so you get a free month.
I will give you on a monthly basis your Patreon back. Yeah, if
I'll
you can
send you
deliver us
feet pics.
something like that. It's not what I expected you to say. Steve will send you feet pics. I'll say my feet are gross, guys.
Mine too, but
which might be better. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the feet pic market looks like these days. Anyway, if you want to support us by giving us paper monies, it's a small amount, but you can get a lot for it. Over on the Patreon, go to patreon.com/Halloween is forever. Or if you go to one of our social medias, you just go to Halloween is forever, for example, on Instagram or on Twitter. You can go to our links and you'll find a link to our Patreon on there. And then you can support us that way and be part of the whole nasty business that we do here on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
All right. That said, let's get into this fucking movie because I've heard a lot of talk about this movie, and it definitely feels like a movie that looks on the surface like it's going to be a lot of fun, and then when you watch it, It's just a little bit of fun. That's kind of how I would characterize this movie, because you look and you're like, oh, Justin Long, genre darling at this point, right? Justin Long. Then you see a Joel McHale. Everyone likes Joel McHale. Who doesn't like Joel McHale? He's a fun guy, handsome bugger. But then you watch it, and then this was slapped together for dum-dums, I think. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what you think. But I honestly, Steve, you saying that saying mid is perhaps harsh. That is the nicest thing I've heard anyone say about this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like the way people react to things nowadays, if you say something's mid, they actually just mean it's shit. You know, like they don't. Yeah.
The vernacular is all fucked up. Because when I say mid, I because I'm an old person, when I say mid, I mean like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. So
I didn't hate it. I totally agree. Like, I totally enjoyed watching it. I will probably never watch it again, but I also am not mad that I watched it. That's what I mean by mid.
If we're looking at a scale between Christmas, Bloody Christmas, and The Killing Tree, this movie's in between it. It's in the mid. It's middle. That's
fair. It's not the Killing Tree. That I wish harm upon the people who made that movie.
Right.
That's not what I feel here. This is just a lazy Christmas exploitation cash grab that made me smile a couple times. Yeah. Which is like, cool. All right, fine.
It's cool. Yeah.
I watch Hallmark Christmas movies, guys.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
your brain is already cooked. You know, I'm sure you recognized a lot more in that filmmaking, between this movie and those, than I would have, because the
quick wrap up. It felt the whole and we'll get to it. I'm not going to spoil it, but the quick and dirty wrap up of all the loose ends in 3 sentences reeked of Hallmark Christmas movies. And guys, this is a little bit of a tangent here, but we didn't really talk about it that much, but we do this thing where we watch fucking, if you subscribe to the Patreon, not to belabor it, but we do this thing where we watch all of the goddamn piece of shit Fast and the Furious movies on a Patreon exclusive podcast. It sucks. It's fun to listen to, but watching them sucks ass, and it's Steve's fault. And it's a psyop, and the government and all my loved ones are plotting against me, and Steve also. But I am thinking about how it would play out if after we do all the Fast and the Furious movies, we start watching Hallmark Christmas movies. I watch them, but they are like background noise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me. Or they're white noise with Christmas lights.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what they are. This feels like that, but with a couple of moderately flashy horror scenes and a couple of notable faces, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I just don't feel as negative about it. It's just there, and I think it'll be a lot of fun for people who aren't old and jaded like us.
You're probably right. And that's who it's made for.
Yeah. And the other thing it does is it crosses just enough genre lines while still being really wholesome and all that. It feels much more for, I don't want to say, it feels much more for secular families who have no real Christmas tradition that's revolved around the religion, but they still buy each other gifts and they put a tree up. So it's not, it's for families who still have fun on Christmas and want to have Christmas things going on, but you don't want to get into the Orthodox mass from the way January 7th is, where everything is just in Latin and swinging incense and shit like that by candlelight.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was raised, and we've talked about this, especially back in some of these Showdown episodes when Meg was on the show, because for those of you who are new to the show, Steve and I were both raised quite religious, quite Christian. Although different sects, I was more, I was very Lutheran. I was raised in a very Lutheran environment. Steve, you were more orthodoxy, really.
I was raised really, really Catholic, but I have.
Oh, I thought it was. I knew it was more conservative. I couldn't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have Orthodox roots.
Okay, that's what I remember.
Like half of my family was like Orthodox, and then my mom converted to Catholicism, which is just like you get 2 Christmases if you want it. They're both like really sad and upsetting, but like you can have them.
I love two upsetting Christmases are better than one, mediocre Christmas. But then Meg was not religious growing up. So we would do a lot of like explaining of various religious rites and weirdness and stuff like that. It's weird because I am not by any stretch of the imagination religious now, and my family, and we don't raise, our kids religious, not to get too granular on this, but, Kate was raised super Christian, super Roman Catholic, Irish, Roman Catholic family, all that sort of thing, but doesn't practice now. And, that's where we're at. But we both have a real nostalgic affinity for the slightly religious toned Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, not like that. I'm like, I need to watch, I need to like sing, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, or something like that. Yeah. I don't listen to secular Christmas music, but I do find myself like when my kids are like, oh, so-and-so at school said hell. And I was like, hell's not real, kids, don't worry. And then 5 seconds later, I'm like, hark the Herald Angels. There is a little bit of that because just, I like it because it's pure nostalgia. Right?
It's nostalgia. It's just what's burned into you. Like,
It exactly is.
If you woke up Christmas morning and somebody had that fucking morning mass on, like you probably wouldn't notice it. It wouldn't, ting you. Like you would never put it on, but it wouldn't make you change it either because you just walk past it.
No, it would just be background noise for me. Yeah, 100%. And this movie I could see because I actually got a little bit of the true meaning of Christmas stuff from this. So when I think about Christmas movies, I'm a big fan of Christmas movies and shows and specials and all that stuff. You basically have a couple of different categories. You have the ultra secular, where it's just like, hey, everyone loves each other and they don't even really put Christmas music in it besides like Jingle Bells and Sleigh Ride or something like that. And then you have like the ultra and I love A Christmas Carol, like Dickens, A Christmas Carol, and all the movie renditions of that. My dad collects them and has like every single one of them on 5 different versions. And the more weirdly Jesus-y they are, the more I kind of like them, which is weird juxtaposition, right? This struck me as like, even though, of course, there's nothing particularly religious about it, it's very secular. It even actually goes to like great lengths to be a little bit more contemporary. It does have spirit of Christmas vibes to it.
A little bit. It has spirit of Christmas vibes, but also it has Back to the Future Part 2 vibes. So.
It does. They try to blame it as we're getting off on quite a tangent. Let's get into the movie here because it does have that, but it also, it's called It's a Wonderful Knife. So for those of you who have seen, of course, the holiday classic, It's a Wonderful Life, that's pretty Jesus-y. They don't flat out say Jesus-y, but like they do talk about, the afterlife and angels and shit like that, right?
I mean, Clarence literally talks to God at some point, right? Like,
yes, in the opening, literally in the opening scene, it's like 2 stars just glowing, and it's like 2 stars talking to each other, and one of them's like, God said you got to do this, and you got to do this to get your wings, and it's like really talking about the nitty-gritty hierarchy of angels within God's domain, which is like, again, weird in a weirdly like attractive to a secular group way. Anyway, they bite on that in this movie, but it's obviously it's a fucking slasher movie, and they go in the other direction quite a bit. But let's get into it a little bit and just the main characters, because there actually are some, like, Kate was watching this with me. And for those of you who don't know Kate, my wife, who's like, she knows, My wife. She knows about horror. She identifies tropes. She's not by any stretch of the imagination as much of a fan as I am, but she is knowledgeable enough where she can pick up on, surface level tropes without even watching. Like, she was working on something at her computer and she was just like, is that Justin Long? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And she was like, because she knows that he's come up on some stuff in recent years. But here's how this starts. And they do a little misdirect, right? So you first get introduced to Justin Long's character. His name's Henry Waters, and he's just like a silly real estate douchebag. That's how they introduce him. He's an asshole. He's like trying to, money hungry, grubby asshole real estate dickweed in the town. He's got like big fake teeth, like veneers and that sort of stuff. You get introduced to his brother who's like brain damaged. His name's Buck. He's kind of a funny character, but he could have been funnier. I don't know.
He could have been funnier. This opening scene though is like when I was it just got me on board immediately because they're doing the tree light up, and just the way Buck is shocked that a tree lights up just had me laughing.
Well, this is the thing is like I got this movie was a real up and down for me because I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I was like, oh, this sucks. Oh, no, maybe it is going to be great. Oh, that's going to be suck. So it was very up and down for me. But like Buck was a character I kept wanting more from because they promised so much. Buck was going to be, I love a stupid character. Listen, I'm a Simpsons fan, born and like I grew up a diehard Simpsons fan. So I love a stupid character.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing to write. It's the funniest thing to watch.
Just gradations of stupid is the Simpsons. Like, it's
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was what Buck was going to be, but then they never really brought it home. But you get the Waters family, right? And at first I thought they were going to be like the gemstone, righteous gemstone kind of thing. But they weren't. They're really the only characters that matter are Henry Waters, which is Justin Long's character. He's the head of the company. He's the fucking golden child. Their dad, who is apparently like a little bit of more of a softer, full-hearted kind of guy who ran the company. He died. The son, Henry Waters, aka Justin Long's character, is kind of like cutthroat, super egotistical, super money grubbing kind of asshole. And then you have the dickhead brother, Buck. That's the only parts of the family that matter at all. Then you get introduced to the Carruthers family with David, who is Joel McHale. So at first you think it's going to be really centered around those two characters because they're certainly the most, recognizable performers in there. But you have Winnie, who's his daughter, who is, let me bring it up here. Winnie is played by, she's recognizable. Like you're I don't know what else she is.
Jane Widdop.
Off the top of my head. Yeah, Jane Widdop, who is in, I'm bringing it up right now.
She's in Yellow Jackets, which is a show I haven't watched.
Same.
That's where people would recognize her the most, I assume.
Yeah, because that's the Christina Ricci show, right? That's the one. Okay, so she was in Yellow Jackets, The Kicks, Deadly Daughter Switch. I don't know, some other stuff. I would imagine people who know her from Yellow Jackets, but I have seen her face before, that's for sure. And she is really, by all accounts, she's the protagonist of the film. She's David, aka Joel McHale's daughter. You also get Jimmy, who is Winnie's brother. You get Gail, who is like the gay aunt, and then her partner, wife, whatever. And then there's Mom, who like plays a relatively minor role. Anyway, there's a project. So this is very set up. Like this is where the misdirect happens. But you've got the jerk family, who's the Waters, and you think, oh, Justin Long's character, he's the Mr. Potter, right? Equating it to It's a Wonderful Life. And then you think, the Jimmy Stewart character is going to be Joel McHale. And they're saying, oh, we're building this big project. It's called Waters Cove. And they want to tear down all these buildings. They've got everyone to sign and sell them their property except for one particular person, Mr. Evans. He's got this old historic house. And he's the holdout, right? So this is a classic setup. And then Henry drags. So Justin Long drags Joel McHale's character, so Henry and David, drags him to Mr. Evans' house on Christmas Eve. So it's like, he's making him work again on Christmas Eve. He's this fucking Scrooge. He's the Mr. Potter, whatever you want to call him. And the guy won't sign. Hey, your dad was a good guy. You're a fucking prick. And then they butt heads on Christmas Eve. Then you go back over to David's house, Joel McHale's house, and that's where you meet Gail, and then Karen is her wife's name. And then you just meet a lot of fucking characters. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, the first 15 minutes of this movie, I swear to Christ, you meet like 20 fucking characters. Like, I was really struggling to keep track of them.
It definitely keeps you on your toes, and with all of these characters, because also in the scene that you meet this old Mr. Evans, who has the historic house, you also meet his granddaughter, Kara Evans.
Yes.
Who becomes important later on. But it was interesting. If you didn't see any trailers for this film, you're like, you're getting set up for a lot of different stuff. Like you said, you already mentioned the kind of Scrooge Marley dynamic between Joel McHale and Henry, but also the guy playing Roger Evans is a notoriously bad guy. He's played by William B. Davis. Most people recognize him as the cigarette smoking man from the X-Files, but also he's real old. He's just like a real old waspy piece of shit on this show called Upload, which I like. It's a comedy on Amazon.
I feel like you've mentioned this show before, but I've never watched it.
Yeah. It's one of those shows, like, either you get into it or you don't. There's so much streaming out there. It happens or it doesn't happen. But he's on that also being a bad guy. So anytime I see this guy, I immediately think villain. So what is this? What is this guy doing?
He's a waspy old rich bad guy, 100%. Like he his typecast in that character. But in this instance, he's old holdout grandpa. And then you meet Kara, and this movie does this thing, which is like, I simultaneously appreciate and roll my eyes at, because I love the whole, like, normalize diversity. Don't like call it out and be weird about it.
Right.
Because then, like, the whole thing is you do that, and then the old trope of, like, there's one, black person per movie and they die first. If you don't do that, if you do the opposite, it becomes a trope in the other direction. So don't do that. So, like, I appreciate that they do that in this movie, but it also is like, I jokingly say, like, when you have a producer or writer or director who's trying too hard to be diverse, it feels pandering and lame. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, so 50% of people are gay, and you get one character, and I just jokingly refer to as it's Burger King Kids Club. You're literally just you're just trying to represent everybody, which is in theory great. I appreciate the representation, but at the same time, it starts to feel disingenuous when you're like checking boxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like that's the case in this one a little bit.
I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting because the director of this film is Tyler McIntyre, and
which we didn't even talk about. I forgot to.
He's the writer of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that just came out, but he also directed a movie that I do like, that I included in the 31 Days of Horror recos that I was doing. He directed a movie called Tragedy Girls. And I think
I saw it. I have not watched it, but I saw it pop up on his IMDb. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So I think Tragedy Girls is a better movie. And it also does, like, a lot of, like, it does diversity and representation without feeling box checky. Whereas in this film, we joke about how movies from the 80s and 90s have a case of the not gays to make sure you never, ever confuse anybody as gay.
Right.
This movie almost goes a little bit in the other direction, in that everyone's gay.
Well, it is. And it's also like, and in one instance, in one relationship, it works, which we're getting ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's with a Winnie and Birdie, which you're like, oh, we don't really know, because you're like, are they friends? Are they romantic? And I kind of like that it was a little ambiguous, because in real life that might be a little ambiguous. You know what I mean? So it's like I like that. I felt that felt genuine to me. But in other movies, like, and I'll preface this by saying some of my favorite movies right now are, because we're in the advent where we're seeing a lot of movies that are like really coming out, and not only coming out, that sounds like a pun, but that's not what I meant, but like they are like really almost marketing themselves as like queer horror. And like queer horror has always been kind of just fun progressive horror,
right?
Like throughout for the last 30 years in the genre, like queer horror has been just like the fun progressive horror.
Yeah.
So I will seek that stuff out. But when you have like people who are a little bit more mainstream people associated with the movie, they feel like it feels less like we're doing this with a subversive spirit of representation of like it's like the difference between like this is a sucky analogy, but it's like the difference between Minor Threat and Green Day. You know, it's like one of them is fucking punk rock and like against what is cool and like is like genuine, and the other one just seems like corporate bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that's kind of what it feels like to me, is like this feels like checking the box, whereas like Knife Plus Heart or something feels like it's sticking it to this, or the people who made this movie.
Yeah. Or even just trauma movies. I mean, they just cast whoever. They're not casting to check a box. Like, if you're queer, who cares? They come on board.
Yeah, that's a good example too. Yeah.
Not horror, but John Waters. Like, John Waters just makes subversive films with people of all distinction. So like it like you're saying, this feels commercialized. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into trying to dissect the intentions.
Yeah, of course. We don't know what the intentions are here, but yeah.
Yeah. But like, I do agree. Like, it doesn't feel as genuine as just like when you watch like real subversive films that are just like Death Game. You don't know what anybody, aside from that creepy salamander guy, you don't know what anybody's sexuality really is. They're just kind of in it to be weird and carry on.
Yeah, it's like genuine versus kind of disingenuous. But anyway, it doesn't matter that much, honestly. And frankly, the relationship of like two of the main protagonists in the movie I actually kind of liked. I kind of thought it was fun. But anyway, or at least like they were the only characters one and a half of them I actually cared about, which we'll get about in a second. But so Henry's dad, like I said, he was a pretty good guy, and now Henry Justin Long is a dickhead. They go to Mr. Evans' house and they're trying to get him to sign. He's like, eat shit, fuck off. And then that's where we meet Kara. So Kara, we learn in a second, is very good friends with Winnie, and Winnie is kind of the goody two shoes, I would say, of like her kind of high school friend group here. So there's a knock on the door at Mr. Evans' house, and there's heavily suggested during their kind of altercation, I don't want to say altercation, but their discussion on Christmas Eve, that you pretty much know from the second Henry Waters, aka Justin Long, is gonna like, he's up to no good, right? So he shows up, Mr. Evans, who's like older, kind of geriatric dude who like can't get around really good, opens the door. There's a snowman at his front door, and I guess it explodes. I don't really know, but it turns into, it's a life size. It's the slasher villain in this movie is essentially dressed as a Christmas angel. Like the Christmas angel that would be on top of the tree, which I thought was cool.
Yes.
And it's kind of looks cool. I mean, it's a completely not at all functional costume, and it's kind of dumb, and no serial killer would ever do this, but it looks cool, surface level.
Right. It looks cool because like it's pure white, and then like a lot of times it gets spattered in blood which adds to a cool visual. So yeah, it's not functional, but it looks, looks like the shitty angels that like you would make in school of just like rolling up a bunch of cotton and then tying it off.
Or I was going to say, if you ever made a corn husk angel, if you were raised in the type of rural Lutheranism that I was raised in, you may have made a corn husk angel. That's what this looks like to me, except for even smoother than a corn husk.
Yeah.
So it's got like this like almost smooth off, almost papery face where it just has no features. So it's almost largely featureless. With things that vaguely suggest wings on top of it. So it's just like a fucking glob of ethereal stupidity on top of your fucking Christmas tree. So Winnie and Kara, Winnie being Joel McHale's daughter, Kara being Mr. Evans' granddaughter, the guy who won't sell his property to Henry Waters. They're at a high school Christmas party, which is, they're fucking, going to get all fucked up and do high school things. You get introduced to so many characters. You have like Robbie, who apparently is Winnie's boyfriend. You get introduced to this, like, they call her Weirdo, which is just like she's the misanthrope, outsider girl in the school who shows up to the parties. You just get all these various characters. It's really hard early on to keep track of them. And honestly, very few of them matter. So it doesn't really, who cares? But Kara's boyfriend, who I literally don't know his name, gets impaled in the back of the head while they are kissing. And she doesn't notice until blood goes into her mouth. Like, so you get a pretty good idea of the I guess the amount of disbelief that must be suspended in this movie pretty early on.
Yeah. Which, look, I like this simply because, and I just liked it simply because we watched the Thanksgiving trailer not too long ago for when doing the Thanksgiving episode. And in that trailer, there's a scene where Eli Roth is getting head from somebody, and his head gets cut off while she's sucking his dick or eating his ass even. And
I mean, it's ambiguous, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah. But then she doesn't notice. So like, she doesn't notice while she's eating ass that somebody's head got removed. So I don't know. I just feel like it fell into that realm, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm here for it. Whatever. Be silly.
Yeah, I wasn't mad. I was just, it told you the score.
Right.
It knew what you were here. It told you what you were here for rather. So the one thing I can say at this point is like, I knew right away this was not going to be a scary movie. And I'm not scared something that's like a genuinely scary movie. I just knew that it was not going to really be going for scares as much as just like slasher silliness. You know what I mean? You could kind of tell at this point. Kara gets offed in front of the school. And I will say I kind of like this because you kind of didn't know what was happening here. Like, you knew things were moving too fast.
Right.
For a seasoned, jaded horror fan, especially of slasher movies, the one thing you could note early on is like a lot of things are happening in a very short amount of time. Like, we're like 12 minutes into this movie right now, and like people are dying, and you're still seeing the murder.
Yeah, you're still trying to get a handle on who the fuck everybody is, and now they start dying. You're like, whoa,
and Kara died. So what that tells me, you could pretty much tell right away, is like, okay, we're going for a little bit of a redirect here. They're going to try to buck some genre tropes. Like, what's going to happen in that sense. So Kara gets killed in front of like the whole crew at the party. So you're off to a fast start. Winnie escapes the killer. There's a lot of really overly stylized scream like sound design. It's a lot of swing, swing, swing metal noises happening. So it's very scream adjacent in that sense. And Winnie ends up electrocuting the killer, the angel killer, with jumper cables before she can kill her brother Jimmy. So she kind of saves Jimmy by electrocuting the killer. They unmask the killer, and it's Mr. Waters. So it's almost shocking in its predictability, because it's like, oh, the bad guy is the killer? Wow, okay, you're just going to do that surface level. Yeah. And that is, of course, that is the misdirect. The misdirect is that everything is exactly as predictable as you think it's going to be, and then the title card hits. So this is all pre-title card, like I said, 10 to 15 minutes in. So now the rest of the movie is, how are we going to work our way back from that? Fast forward now, and David, Winnie's dad, and Jimmy, her brother, so David and Jimmy Carruthers, are now they're essentially the new Waters family in the town. They took over, and they're becoming big giant dickheads. And Winnie is still bummed, obviously, because Kara, her best friend, got killed. So it's fast forward a year later, I should say. And Kara still dead, so she's pretty bummed about that.
Yep.
But also, she didn't get into taking pictures school, so who fucking cares?
NYU, sir.
Yeah, she wanted to get into taking pictures school. She didn't get in. Wah, fuck yourself. But as
a person who couldn't afford to go to NYU either, this resonated with me, because actually
I couldn't have afforded. Listen, no one can afford to go to NYU. Get over it. You know what I mean?
Unlike this girl, though, I actually did get in, but fuck her.
Well, listen, I wouldn't have fucking got in anyway. So no one's getting into NYU. So quit fucking bitching. Unless your parents already fucking have a place in Nantucket Island, you're not fucking going to NYU. Yeah. But so there's this whole thing about she's sad. Oh, Kara died. Oh, I didn't get into picture taking school. Blah, blah, blah. So everyone is kind of getting in the spirit of Christmas. It's a year later, right? Except for Winnie. She's got so much sad, and she's got so much literal sad makeup on. It's it's kind of wild. It's it's heavy handed, we'll say.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to portray her as everyone got over the tragedy that happened last year except for her. That's the message. Weirdly enough, they're just walking down the street, having a holly jolly Christmas. Buck, who is Henry's brother, corners her on the street and does this whole threatens her life thing on the street. Nobody really makes that big of a deal about it. But it's I don't want to say it's a red herring, but it's oh, is Buck the killer now? You don't really know. But anyway, why was Buck mad at her? There's a lot of how should I put it? There is a lot of theoretical confusion where people don't seem to understand the score. Characters in this movie don't seem to understand past events. I'll lay it out that way.
Like you're saying, this movie is so good at being kind of like a Hallmark movie that motivations are a little lazy, and they're not, and because things have to wrap up nicely, but also the thing is motivations have to change when we move into the other universe.
Yeah.
So in this universe, Buck is obviously incensed with his brother being killed, and Buck, for all intents and purposes at this point, probably was just being taken care of by Henry. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's pretty clear that's the case, but does Buck not understand or accept the fact that his brother was caught red-handed as a murderer and that she killed him in self-defense? Because Buck is holding some sort of a grudge against her as if it was a judgment call. But Henry was actively trying to kill her or kill her brother when she killed him in self-defense, but Buck doesn't seem to understand that.
This is just the law of stupid white trash, Brian. Stupid white trash will just take blood debt anyway. They don't care if somebody was doing crime. they will just avenge that person otherwise, because blood is thicker than water, and it doesn't matter what the law says. Buck is just that dumb. Buck just saw his family get killed, and probably the cash cow, the reason why he was able to live a somewhat comfortable life. His life, we don't see enough of his life to know that he's probably fallen on super hard times.
Well, and we didn't even see much before that. We just knew that he was this Instagram douchebag who was sending dick pics on the internet. That's all you knew about Buck. And then you came to learn that now he is destitute.
Yeah, and that he was also he was just the JV football coach. He's not making a lot of money off that. That's what he does.
He didn't care. He was just riding his brother's coattails. Anyway, now Winnie's family, although they are very successful because the Waters family are destitute now and or dead, so they kind of took their place, and David Carruthers, Winnie's dad, was Waters' right-hand man. Now he's picked up the mantle. He's off and running, but financially speaking, but now her whole family sucks, right? So they bought her. There's this whole thing where it's again, this is just inconsistencies. And I'm not only do I not fully understand it, it seems genuinely at odds with the overall message of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But Winnie is now kind of just mad, at least initially, that her family bought her workout clothes and not a truck.
Right.
Because they brought the son a truck. So is she mad that her best friend is dead and that they're ignoring it? Or is she mad because they bought her brother a nicer Christmas present? It's mixed up. The whole thing seems mixed up.
Yeah.
You never really generate any type of real empathy or sympathy, for that matter, either, for Winnie at this point.
Yeah, you do. At this point, we should, if Winnie is supposed to be mourning Kara, we should be mourning Kara as well. And we honestly just didn't get enough of Kara to begin with to care that much, other than we were just told that she's Winnie's best friend. We were just told that. We didn't see the good person that she is and what she brought to the town. And then in this scene that you're talking about, the motivations do feel wildly off, and it's all in service to get the Christmas Story reference in.
Oh yeah, the It's a Wonderful Life reference in.
No, the Christmas Story, because
Christmas. I missed this. What?
The workout clothes she gets are all pink. She gets the pink bunny suit.
The Christmas Story. And she's even go upstairs and try it on. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. She gets the Ralphie bunny suit.
But it's a workout. It's workout clothes.
Right. Yeah. So it's just quick and cheap to try and service that. They're not really concerned about explaining the motivations and the way people have changed over the past year, because they just want to show you that everything is at odds with Winnie.
Mm-hmm.
So when she goes to the next dimension, we see how it changes. And how it's still technically better, in her past life.
Yeah, and we're almost there. So I'll speed forward a little bit. Winnie meets this girl Birdie, who is Bernie or Birdie. Is it Bernie or Birdie? I forget. Bernie. And she's the quirky, weird girl, and everyone's kind of mean to her. And then Winnie goes in and she finds her boyfriend cheating with this other girl from her school, and they're basically hey. We've been cheating for a long time, and you didn't even notice because you don't pay attention to anything. And if Winnie were to say the word seriously one more time, I was going to cut my own dick off. It was getting so fucking obnoxious. Winnie, here's my take. The character sucks and the performance sucks. And I don't care about her at all, or if she lives or dies or anything. The only character I cared about a little bit was Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn later why, but still, Winnie was the most unlikable character as a protagonist.
I like Aunt Gail too, though, because
I didn't like Aunt Gail.
You
Aunt
like
Gail
Aunt
was
Gail?
bad at acting. No, and
no.
Aunt Gail, we hadn't mentioned this. Yeah, she sucked. She was horrible.
You don't talk bad about Catherine Isabel like that.
So she was. I mean, people would know her. She plays Aunt Gail in this. People would know her from Ginger Snaps, which I really like. At the very least, the first Ginger Snaps movie, and frankly the second one too.
Mm-hmm.
But she is Ginger in Ginger Snaps, so like she is kind of horror royalty really in that way. Like that's a whole fucking franchise, and everyone loves Ginger Snaps. Between then and now, she forgot how to act. She's bad at acting. And then also the character is just like, she's the cool aunt that believes Winnie when her parents don't. That's pretty much what she plays, which is fine. That's a fine character, but she's bad in this movie. She's genuinely very bad. I
think also because maybe, like, obviously in kind of the previous time before Winnie kills Henry, like you get a little bit of their connection. Then during that scene where she gets the fucking shitty workout clothes, you get a deeper connection between the two of them. And
I'm not saying they're not trying to establish that. Yeah. I'm just saying it didn't mean anything to me at all.
I think for me, it felt a little better with the way the film ends, in which, Jane basically comes out with to Bernie. But considering she already had kind of a pre-established stronger connection to her lesbian aunt, it does make the ending feel more genuine.
I guess she was her lesbian role model, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Like fine, that's fine. But like it feels like that would need to be implied rather than like actually. And that's honestly, that's like 90% of the relationships and like quote unquote heartfelt moments in this movie are just not at all earned. They're just it's
because the script said. It's because the script said.
Yeah, it's because the script said, and like this script probably read as a 2.5 hour movie, and they made it an hour and 20 some minutes.
It makes you wonder.
Everything seems really rushed.
Yeah, that makes me wonder if it really was, because What's a Wonderful Life? It's almost like 3 hours.
Is it really that long?
It's a long fucking movie, I think. I remember it being a long movie.
You might be right. I mean, I've watched it a lot, but I never realized it was that long.
Maybe I just don't like it and I feel like it drags. But yeah.
Let's look, Nick, because now I'm curious, but go ahead.
But yeah, so maybe it did start out like trying to be even closer to A Wonderful Life by being like an actually long movie.
It's over 2 hours. Yeah, it's just over 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 5, 2 hours and 10, depending on what cut you watch.
Okay, so then it's 3 hours on TNT. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, maybe it was a longer film and they had more substance to it and more character development, but they just felt like that doesn't work for a slasher film, though. Like, people aren't going to sit around.
No, it's got to be tight, right?
Yeah.
And also the performances genuinely are mostly bad in this movie. So I don't know. That's my point of view. But it just feels like no one reacts appropriately to anything, and just like emotions are generally kind of warped. And also Winnie might have the worst fake cry in the history of motion pictures. Like, she can't get her mind around crying. It's so bad.
She's never cried in her life.
It's tough. So she does do the whole George Bailey thing where she like wishes she was never born. But in this case, it's on the
Aurora Borealis.
They call it the Aurora.
May I see it? No.
So like, instead of the whole like, it's just, it's this whole convoluted thing that doesn't matter around the Northern Lights. And that's what and this is like, we'll get into it. It's so forced, but she wishes she wasn't born. In a split second, she is flung into a world where she was never born. So now there's some dude who we just saw a second ago, just like drinking a stovepipe out of a paper bag. But now there's a knife sticking out of his fucking eyeball, and Waters is still alive. right? And the killer is still alive, and the killer is out murdering people around the town, and she's flung into the situation, and she knows in her mind Waters is the killer because Waters was the killer in her world. And as far as she knows and we know, Waters is just at large now, and he has now killed this random dude on the street. And she's like, oh goddamn, where am I? What's happening? Why are people dying? I'm literally on the same spot on like the fucking wharf that I was 5 seconds ago, except for, the weather might be a little bit different. She somehow escapes the killer, and she's like, oh, a cop's here. Oh, like, I'm saved. Let me talk to the cop. And the cop is the sheriff, and the sheriff is Buck. Buck is Henry's brother, the dumbass, who's riding his brother's coattails. He's now the sheriff of the town. She's very confused about why he's the sheriff and all this stuff. And she starts to learn that the whole town is aware of an ongoing serial killer that they call the Angel. And apparently, instead of in the world that she lived in, he killed, basically Mr. Evans and Kara, and then she killed him and saved everybody. Now the Angel has been killing essentially once or twice a week for the last year. Yeah. Right. So he has like 27 or something victims at this point.
Yeah. This is when we start to really get into like Back to the Future Biff world. Yeah.
So now we're in alternate timelines, and we're starting to understand how the bulk of this movie is going to play out. So it was fine. I think it was done okay. Really, where they dropped the ball in my mind is later on. But at this point, I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. The Angel, like I said, at this point we come to understand has killed a lot of people, like 27, 28 people. And you think, oh, it's Henry Waters, right? She was never here to save the town from Henry Waters, so he's just went on doing his killing, and he has put his brother in charge of the town as the sheriff to either protect him or be too dumb to catch him, right? Mm-hmm. So he's been now killing for a year or more. And now Waters also is the mayor. So he has become the mayor of the town. And basically it's Mr. Potter from the original movie, but this is what happens when Waters goes unchecked by good people like herself, presumably. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Winnie goes back to her own house, and they obviously don't know who she is, and she learns that Jimmy was killed. So obviously in her dimension, what we saw, she saved Jimmy, but in this alternate world where she never existed, Jimmy was killed by the Angel, the serial killer, aka what we believe to be Henry Waters. The town has just gone to shit. So Waters has taken control of everything. He owns everything. Everyone just gets killed, especially business owners like in the main business district get killed, and then Waters buys up their land and develops it and blah, blah, blah. So you get all this. And it is alarmingly spoon-fed to us, like in the most direct way you can imagine.
That's why I think this is meant to kind of be just like a background film, because like everything is so spoon-fed and like you're not going to get something deep out of this. So it's just something that you have on the background at a Christmas party, and you can tune in and tune out as you like. It's not, I guess like my only big criticism, I don't have a problem with a movie like that, but like my big criticism is if you're going to make a movie like that, make the kills far more interesting because they'll stand out.
That's the thing. It's like so I agree. This is and that's part of why I even mentioned it, like when it made it a point to go back and mention it earlier in the show, this is the slasher version of a Hallmark Christmas movie, which inherently I understand the value in. It's just something to have on in the background. But it is so lazily done and just so not even a layup, but just so half-assed at points that it is shocking. how half-assed it is. Like there is times where like, oh, I kind of know this is the opposite of when I talk about regularly on the show, like a movie that is going to take you for a ride that you can't trust, that is unpredictable. This is the opposite of that. This is extraordinarily predictable, but there's nothing. That's fine. It is what it is. But this takes that to a unforgivably lazy level. I'll say.
I mean, yeah, you're calling it lazy, but I just call it accessible for both baby-brained kids as well as your mush-brained, dog-brained like boomers in your family. So this
isn't on Netflix. This is on Shudder. This is for horror nerds, Steve. If this was on Netflix, I would agree with you. But the fact that it's a Shudder exclusive makes me expect more from it.
I understand you expect more. I think it's on Shudder because like Tyler was on VHS 99, and that's where he released Tragedy Girls 2 as well. So it's just a built-in like relationship with Shudder.
You're right. I mean, it is what it is. There's no mystery about what this is. I'm not confused about it. I'm just disappointed in it. Right. It's like Justin Long and Joel McHale do not justify this movie in my mind. And in their mind, and undoubtedly the pitch when they said we would like this to be a Shudder exclusive, which AMC obviously ultimately agreed to, was guys, Justin Long and Joel McHale. And they were like, all right, you got us. Which is, hey, they did it. But it's just like, that is at the how do I say it? You have done that, and that was a decision, but now you have cheapened your brand. Because now I'm going to not get... When Shudder first came out, I was like, even if this movie looks like hot trash, and it's at least going to be interesting. This is an example of a movie that made it to Shudder that had all the surface level things and got through and I watched and was not interesting. I like that it's hit or miss. That's fine. Shudder can be hit or miss. It's a genre fans platform, and I like that nothing is a slam dunk, but this is fucking lazy as fuck.
So you just feel a little bit bamboozled is what you're saying.
I feel slighted because there's so little redeemable. Like you said, there's no interesting kills even. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not that that's even my cup of tea, but if I would have saw that, I would have said, oh, this is a fun kill movie. And I would have said, okay, fine. That's where and I find myself going, where's the value add for the genre fan here? Because there's and I guess ultimately what you could argue is the value add is that it looks kind of slick. Yeah. There's a couple of recognizable faces. The killer is a little bit interesting in that it's, because we've seen Killer Santa, we've seen Killer Snowman, we've seen Killer Elf, we've seen Killer fucking Gingerbread Man, and now we've got Killer
Tree Topper,
Angel on top of the tree. Yeah, which is like, okay, fine, but here's what I want, and this is a total side thing, and this is just only a Ginzer thing. I want Killer Eaton Park Star.
Killer Eaton Park Star.
God damn it, I want it so bad, Steve. We maybe need to make a horror movie. I'm sorry, dude, we might need to do that.
I mean, look, I'm gonna go on 2 tangents right now because you started one. I'm still, and Dan also mentioned he's still recovering from Killer Tree Syndrome, but I am also still on just like the anger and hate I have for the Killing Tree, that I want to make a good one, and I want to call it Oh Terror Bomb.
Oh, that's a good title, Steve.
If somebody steals that title, I'll come after you legally and physically.
TM.
Legally and physically.
Beat your ass. Listen, we're going to come to your house, we're going to beat your ass, and we're going to sue you.
Yeah. But I want to make O Terror Bomb, and we can include Eaton Park stuff in it. Whatever. I don't care. The other idea I had, which we just mentioned, it just popped in my mind while we were talking about this movie from the beginning, of like the stars, the way they're represented in It's a Wonderful Life. And they're just 2 stars kind of blinking at each other. Yeah. I want a film that's more about the biblically accurate angels coming to Earth.
Oh, like they're giant, like children of the Nephilim. What are the fuck the giants?
Yeah, the children of the
called?
Nephilim and the Seraphim, and they're just like spinning collections of eyes and wings.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that would also be fun.
It's fucking terrifying. But the whole time you're showing that shit on screen, it's all like wild ass CGI.
Yeah.
It's just like silent.
Exactly.
Night. Yeah, hell yeah.
And it's just
all
like
right,
people's heads exploding out of fear and just just taking it to like a level that's completely unrecognizable as a Christmas film, but there's still like the dressing.
Yeah, guys. Check us out on our GoFundMe. It's link in the bio.
This is what the Patreon's for.
Watch this.
If enough of you sign up for the Patreon, we can make a terror bomb.
We're doing it, guys. Come on, get your shit together. All right. I listen. My brain's spinning, and I want to go in that direction. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, the brain's spinning. I'll get us back on track because there's something you mentioned about like how this film has the dressing, and I do like the production design, even though it is very simplistic in the way it's done. It's done in such a way that is simplistic and slick. So the opening of the film, especially the scene with the cigarette smoking man in his house, feels incredibly Christmassy. It feels like Home Alone.
Yeah.
You know? It looks really good. The scenes after we switch to the new world, everything loses its color and its flair. It basically dives into blacks and blues, and it does.
It's so blue, and normally I'm a fan of Christmas blue, but this is just it sucks the life out of the visuals.
Yeah, and it's meant to, because like the only person you see wearing red is Winnie, and Bernie has a couple splatches of color on what she's wearing. So like you're supposed to just see this world that is just devoid of Christmas cheer, devoid of color. You know, I wouldn't have been surprised if they actually just went full black and white. And if there isn't maybe a cut later on that they do that.
I mean, I could see that. I appreciate the visual storytelling, but at the same time, it's like, get out of your own way. You know what I mean? What was the movie we talked about last year where there's a fucking robot killer Santa?
Christmas Bloody Christmas.
Ruled?
Yeah.
Christmas Bloody Christmas. Yeah. That movie, even at its most heightened, dangerous moments, still felt Christmassy, because even fucking Santa's laser eyes were green and Christmassy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just fucking ruled. Like just take a fucking note. I don't know.
That movie is also a whole different other thing of just being like,
I know it has nothing to do with it. It's
and shot on 16 millimeter and everything is just high contrast, but also so full of neon and Jonah Ray eating ass. So
yeah, it's so fun. It's such a fun movie. Anyway, go watch that movie, by the way, if you haven't.
Yeah, I can't wait
I'm going to watch it tonight. I'm going to drink 5 more of these beers. Watch that tonight. Fucking pass out on the couch. Anyway, so Winnie, goes to another high school party where her friends are, hey, this is what happens if you weren't around to, make the world great. So all her friends are, which I thought was kind of a dark turn. All her friends are like smoking crack.
Yeah.
And or meth.
Yeah.
Which is like a pretty dark turn.
The party house is turned into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bad kids hideout where everybody's spray painting and smoking crack.
Yeah, but instead of like just like playing arcade games and smoking cigs, they're all like literally smoking crack and meth or whatever. It's pretty dark, but Birdie's still there, and she's the only one that will talk to Winnie because nobody else knows Winnie. And Winnie knows what's happened and kind of understands it, but also kind of is like, I guess I'll say she's like willfully obtuse. Like she knows what's happening. She knows this is a world where she was never born. She's said it outwardly at this point. But at the same time, when she sees her boyfriend, she's still mad at her boyfriend for being in love with another girl. And you're like, bitch, you were never born. Why
Yeah.
are you mad at him? So like, that's what I mean when I say like she's kind of willfully obtuse. But they ultimately really lean in on this thing, because it's like, oh, she ends up going like, oh, but still, her boyfriend was actually better off without her, and that's sad. But then later it's happy. So it's like, I don't know. They really thought that was pretty meaningful, and it never really landed for me. But anyway, she's doing this whole like willfully obtuse thing. The angel kills some of her friends, yada yada. Who fucking cares? Obviously she's gonna that's gonna happen. And she makes friends with Birdie, and they are gonna go find the killer together. And jump a little bit forward, they go to Bernie's house, and she's got a Charlie Day wall.
Hell
Right,
yeah.
with all the string tied together. She has been ruminating on this for the last year, but somehow she's too stupid to realize that it's the most obvious person,
Right.
which is Henry Waters,
The guy who owns all the businesses and has all the
that she's been killing the people that owned. Yeah. So she's like, yeah. And even Bernie's like the one that's like, he's killing the children and the owners of all the businesses on Main Street. And then when he's like, do you think it's maybe the guy who owns all the businesses now? And Bernie's like, wait a second. Like, that's it's so dumb. But the angel shows up, and it's funny because they're like, there's a quick hot second where Bernie thinks that maybe Winnie's the killer, because you're the one who knows all this stuff. And that, which kind of like, that stands to reason a little bit.
Right.
But then the angel just like busts through the window like Michael Myers, like, ha, I'm gonna try to kill you. And then they escape so easily.
Yeah.
Like they just walk into town and they're like, oh, he gave up. And then now they're having fun. And Bernie has fully been convinced that Winnie is telling the truth about the alternate reality, and she lives in an alternate reality where where Winnie never existed. And she explains it by saying that like, well, what you saw that you wished upon with the Northern Lights was like really rare. So like, obviously that's what happened. And she's fully convinced. And this is what I mean by like, things aren't really earned. They're just like written into the script and forced down our throats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Aurora thing is, it's whatever. It's just a device. It's just a way to get you there. I guess if there was a wishing star,
lazy. It's so lazy.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not that much different from a wishing star, and just I don't know.
But if this was a dumb, so my point is, yeah, wishing stars are okay in dumb baby movies for dumb babies.
Yeah, and we've already established this is for dumb babies and dog brain boomers to watch with you. Like, it's something.
I agree.
It's something to get the whole family on. This movie is a movie you put on at like 2-3 in the afternoon when everybody can have a cheese board and get into drinking. You start getting a little drinks in you. You watch a movie that's just
a couple 2-3 drinks.
Yeah, you watch something that's straight down the middle. This is for all the kids. This is for everybody. Even grandma can kind of turn it on. And as long as she doesn't get mad at gay people, she'll like it. So
yeah, no, this is gonna piss grandma off because of the gays. But
I will mention. So the Aurora thing is blah, whatever. However, also in the scene is like Bernie and Winnie are like sitting in the movie theater, and this is the first time we like really interact with Bernie, and like she starts giving Winnie fuck me eyes, and I was like, wait, are they going for this or what? Because
yeah, it was ambiguous, and I kind of even liked that a little bit.
Yeah,
because like they didn't do Burger King Kids Club shit, and they left it a little ambiguous of like, because you could tell Bernie was into Winnie, but you couldn't tell if Winnie was into Bernie.
Right.
Which I was like, oh, that's kind of, I liked that ambiguity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you didn't know, you knew Winnie dated. You knew Winnie at least was dating a guy, but then she had kind of come to this place of peace with the end of her relationship with this guy. So you're like, oh, well, maybe she's bi or maybe she's open to other things or whatever. So like, I kind of, this was honestly one of the few plot points that I was like, oh, that was actually done kind of gracefully.
Yeah. So I wanted to point out a good point, even though there's also a bad point in the same. I guess something maybe they could have done earlier in the film is like, like we mentioned, like Robbie winds up having sex with this other chick. And it's kind of alluded to, but not enough, because Winnie is introduced as this goody two shoe who doesn't even say fuck. They should have also peppered in something about how like her and Robbie have never done anything more than like kiss.
Yeah.
Because then
so that would have gave you Winnie's gay vibes earlier.
Yeah, or just,
and then you would have cared. Yeah,
or it would have, what it would have done is given you the vibes that, oh, she's a goody two shoe who doesn't fuck. But then you'll realize later, oh, it's because she was gay, not because she's a goody two shoe.
Yeah. I mean, they did that in a roundabout way, but I feel like some of the subtlety of that might have got edited out, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But like, that's actually the only thing I liked is like the Bernie, and I keep saying Birdie because I'm thinking of Birdie from McDonald Land. But Bernie and Winnie relationship is really the only thing you gave a little bit of a shit about. Mm-hmm. And actually, the performer, and I didn't look up her name, who plays Bernie, is
Canadian.
I actually wish, is she Bernie Simon, Jess McLeod.
Yeah.
I wish she was the main character in this movie. I wish she was the protagonist.
Yeah.
Because she just was a better actor and better performer and more charming and entertaining and I don't know, just a better performer. Mm-hmm. I wish she would have been the main protagonist instead of Jane Wynkoop. Windop. I'm sorry.
Windop.
Yeah, Wynkoop, whatever. Well, I was thinking of Wynkoop Brewing Company, who I think is defunct now. Anyway, so that, I mean, spoiler alert, but that they end up together, and that's the only thing that's like kind of, I don't know, slightly interesting, or like at least that you're kind of rooting for from a emotional standpoint. They sleep in the theater all night. Like they fall asleep and stay there in the theater all night. And then they wake up. They wake up, and then Bernie has done a bunch of research throughout the night to prove that her theory around the Aurora Borealis was accurate and that it's fading away and that she'll be stuck there if Winnie like Bernie knows the rules. She knows all the rules in the morning. Mm-hmm. If Winnie doesn't kill the angel, who she assumes is Henry, by the time the Aurora Borealis fades away in this area, then she's going to be stuck in this area, in this environment forever. And this is the first time you feel anything for any character, because you're like, oh, well, her goal is at odds with what you want Bernie as a fan of Bernie, because Bernie wants her to stay there because they're friends or romantic partners or something, but she wants to get back, but Bernie doesn't want her to get back, but she wants to help her. So now there's a conflict, emotional conflict. So you're like, that's the first thing I've cared about at all in this movie, but it's based on some real dumb shit that Bernie just imagined while everybody was sleeping. But they go to Winnie's house, and she's, immediately convinces her aunt that her whole story is true about the I was ever born and all this stuff, because she tells her an embarrassing story about a thong or something, which is like, fine, whatever. Okay, fine. But now the dad is like, you are talking about my dead son and you were never born. And also, we haven't talked about Jimmy, her brother. Jimmy was gay, and they do this very shoehorned Jimmy is gay stuff early on in the movie. We've gone way past it, but before Jimmy gets saved by Winnie, and now we learn in this alternate environment, alternate reality, Jimmy was killed. The mom, David's wife, who they kind of vaguely insinuate is not their real mom, but they never get into it. like, it seems like that got left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Is like, my gay son, I'm so proud of him. And he even is like putting a rainbow ornament on the tree. And they're like, oh, mom, cool it. Yeah, I'm gay, but you don't have to make a big deal out of it. But the movie is making a big deal out of it because then they also like show him kissing his boyfriend in an inconsequential scene.
Well,
like,
it's not even his boyfriend because I also think he was hitting on Buck in the first scene.
Maybe, yes. He's flirting at least with Buck.
Jimmy's just a guy slut.
Jimmy's just trying to get down, which is fine. Jimmy's like the star quarterback on the football team.
Right.
And Jimmy is like young. He's hot boy on campus and is trying to fuck. Fine, Jimmy, do your thing. But this is the thing, is like they're so adamant about showing how gay Jimmy is and how it just, again, it's the Burger King Kids Club syndrome where it's just like, fine, if Jimmy's gay, that's great. But like now you understand that it feels disingenuous that you're so focused on his sexuality when that never really was part of the story.
It has nothing to do with the story at all. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the story, but you're so as a script so fixated on Jimmy's sexuality that the whole thing feels disingenuous. It feels like you're doing representation for the sake of representation, which is just so at odds with the spirit of the genre, I guess, is what I ultimately mean to say. Like, I want that to be the thing, but like, you understand that if you put it out there in the way that you did, it doesn't feel like it's, I guess representation is representation, I guess, but it's also like, guys, you just seem like, it seems like that meme of, you know, Steve Buscemi coming in and going, hello, fellow teenagers. You know what I mean?
Hello,
it just feels,
fellow
that's what
homosexuals.
It feels like. Yeah. Oh, you guys like other boys, eh? Me too. Skateboard over shoulder.
Yeah.
Like,
it's interesting because honestly, it feels like you kind of get like the 3 different stages of representation in this film, because so Aunt Gail and Karen are just there, you know, that like,
and they're a married older couple.
Yeah. So they're just there. It's just the way things are. It's not something that's harped on one way or another. Winnie has like a progressing, genuine, earned relationship that bears on the story because her interaction with Bernie eventually saves Bernie and everything. So it's like it you know, the way they relate to each other is important because it's important for the end of the movie. Right. Jimmy is just there to just be gay.
Yeah.
You know?
Jimmy is gay quarterback brother who everybody mourns. That's it. He almost doesn't play a character. His character has a bearing on other things, but him as a character kind of doesn't matter that much. And like his homosexuality doesn't have a bearing because it doesn't do anything for Winnie as a queer character. No, it really doesn't. It's just like, I don't know. And I almost was like, what are they trying to say? That like, obviously there's a disproportionate amount of queer characters in this family. Were they trying to say something there?
I don't know.
I didn't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah. That's the other thing is like, it can wind up going so far the other way that it reads bad as like,
that's what I'm saying is it's like, oh, they just have like this whole family's gay. Like, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're trying to say. You just this house had black mold, so everyone's gay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that what you're trying to say? Because this seems weird. The whole thing
didn't have the right Christmas spirit, so they're all gay. Like, no, that's not the moral we should be telling.
You guys didn't pray enough, so your kids ended up gay. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's just like I don't know what they're trying to say, and it could be good or not good. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing just seems so like shoehorned, I guess is what I mean to say.
Yeah. If just eliminate Jimmy's sexuality completely because it doesn't have bearing on the story. It doesn't have bearing on other characters. It doesn't matter
at all.
We all, just let him
like,
be.
Gay guys can be athletes too. And you're like, fine. You didn't have to like they were like, he scored 6 touchdowns one time and he's gay. And we're like, fine.
Okay.
Okay. Why do we care about that? It doesn't have any bearing on the story.
Honestly, yeah, I don't know. If they wanted to kind of go out of the way for like a different representation, they should have made him a furry.
just go completely opposite. If truly the story is like, you can't, judge a book by its color type of or by its cover situation, and it's like, oh, he's Mr. Popular in school and then he's actually into like something that's slightly more subversive, like that would have been cool. I would have been all about that.
Yeah.
But instead it's just like, gay guys can score touchdowns too.
Yeah.
It just seems so babyish and dumb. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm confused, and this is actually one of the low points in the movie for me. Joel McHale, who plays the dad to the daughter who never existed, it never quite communicates that she's a stranger to him. It always feels like he kind of knows who she is.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like, get out of my house because you don't exist, because the script told me you don't exist, but the character kind of seems like I know you exist. And like, because like he's willing to give her audience in scenarios where you would never in a bajillion years give a stranger insights to or audience on the topics you're talking about. So it's just, to say unearned is like almost an understatement. It doesn't make any fucking sense, really.
Yeah. When he's doing his Bob Cratchit routine up in his office, and he lets her come in and sit down rather than just saying, get the fuck out of my office. What are you doing here?
Who are you?
Yeah.
If some stranger came in to like, I'm sitting in my office right now upstairs, right? And if some stranger came in and was like, I need to talk to you about your dead child, I'd be like, I'm gonna, first of all, I might actually just physically beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
But also somebody already called the cops. The cops are on the way, and I'm probably have my like knee on your throat.
Yeah.
Like,
it's time for
until
fights.
the cops arrive. Yeah. But no, she's like, well, okay, if you want to talk about my murdered gay quarterback son who scored 6 touchdowns. It's just the whole thing's like, there's too much disbelief to suspend here for me.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is like, they just make everything so simple, because the mom at this point is also just like some drugged up like floozy. She's just like banging randos in the town for drugs. And
she's like, she's eating sleeping pills and chugging wine and like banging a bunch of people, like guys that are half her age. It's very weird. The whole like disjointed dream house of what's happening is just like, it feels more Christmas Carol than it does It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Tiny Tim is dead. But in this scenario, instead of Tiny Tim being dead in the Ghost of Christmas Future, it's mom's addicted to pills and wine is banging dudes on the side.
Yeah.
And dad's like, too much for cock to deal with it or something. I don't know.
Like it's so. There's a Batman Flash comic book called Flashpoint where the Flash, it's kind of like what the movie's based on too, but like the Flash goes back in time and he changes things, and then the time period he comes back to.
Oh, because he fucking runs around the world in the other direction.
Right. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But like the time he comes back to is like completely just out of control. Like it's a time where Batman never exactly existed, where Bruce Wayne is the one who gets shot in the alley. So his dad becomes Batman, and then his mom becomes the Joker, and then like the entire town
his mom becomes the Joker.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting, actually.
And then like the entire city is in ruins, and like Batman carries guns and shoots people, and like, so it's this extreme exaggerated version that we're getting of like mom's all pilled up, and dad, who we now find out is also an angel and is doing the killing. And so like that's what made me think of like this Batman story of like, oh yeah, now Joel McHale is like the full villain and he's doing kills.
Yeah, he's like, so like, yeah, I mean, fast forward, but like she accidentally says dad, which gets him all pissed, which kind of suggests that he thinks like maybe he knows her world on some level, but he doesn't. And then he comes downstairs and like, Mom, quit banging all these people and don't. And Aunt Gail's like, don't take any more pills. And she's like, I'm going to do whatever I want. And he's going to go outside whenever. And then he goes outside and comes back in and then she gets killed. And you're like, oh, he's obviously the fucking angel. Like it couldn't be more obvious at this point. And I was almost at this point like, ooh, maybe they're going to do a double switch. And like, they're leading you to believe that, but that's not actually true. But no, this movie's not that clever. It's exactly what's happening. So dad is obviously Joel McHale. David is obviously the angel at this point. And Winnie apparently has superhuman strength because she is the only one who can just like apparently beat the shit out of the killer, no matter who it is. And everyone else is just at its whim. And she knocks him down the stairs. And they do this whole like not at all funny scene where they like have to step over him at the bottom of the stairs. They unmask him, and it's dad, as we all expected. Which I was watching this with Kate, and she was very confused because when they unmasked Joel McHale, she was like, "Oh, who's that?" And I was like, "That's Joel McHale," and she was like, no, it's not. And like something about the way he was laying, she was like, I thought that was like, I thought he was Mexican. I was like, who's that guy? And I was like, no, it's Joel McHale. And she was like, it just threw her for a loop. And I was making fun of her a lot. And we were, yeah, it was for some reason, just like whatever, something about the lay. And I think what it was is he was laying down and like, he's, Joel McHale's fucking, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be pushing 50 years old at this point, right?
Yeah, he's easily in his mid 40s. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an older gentleman. Not older. He's a middle-aged gentleman. And something about the way his neck was like pushed up, it was like very unflattering. And Kate didn't even recognize him, and it threw her for a loop.
So that makes him Mexican, though.
Yeah, well, and it's also like the lighting was weird. She looked swarthy to her. I don't know. Anyway, so we learned that he was the one that killed Karen a year ago. They immediately figure everything out. Waters did the first killing, but now dad's been killing for him because dad, aka David, is Henry Waters, little stooge. So he's been doing it for him since then. And then apparently the Aurora is going to fade away tonight, which we don't know why, but we know it. We know this is the last night. So they have to kill dad, aka Joel McHale, tonight, or else we're going to get stuck in this alternate universe. And it's like, we just took all that for granted, even though this is all just at the very best hunches from the weird girl that we just became friends with 5 seconds ago. So they set up a whole trap for him at the theater, which he walks right into. Like they literally put on the marquee, like, come over, killer. We're ready for getting killed. And then they show up. And then there is a little bit of red hair and like a misdirect, not even red hair, a misdirect where it's like Robbie, who was Winnie's boyfriend in the alternate reality, and Darla, and they are whatever, they get killed. The only cool scene here is that so Gail gets killed, Aunt Gail gets killed, and then the killer shuts off the lights, and then you get this kind of slightly cool thing where like the photo flashing, because she wanted to be a big time picture lady and she didn't get into picture college. So now she's taking pictures with her camera as a light source, and you're seeing the murders, especially of the boyfriend and the boyfriend's new girlfriend, in the snaps of the flash, which was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. It looked cool.
It was all right. It reminded me of like they do a similar scene in You're Next, where the basement. Yeah. I mean, not even similar, the exact same thing. I forgot about that. Yeah, basically the exact same thing. But like that's my problem is like in You're Next, they just let it be the camera flashes, whereas there's editing to put in maybe just like understanding of the space into this scene here, but they just don't let it be a full experimental scene of the camera flash being the only illumination. So I was just kind of like, it's all right, but it's, I don't know, it's clunky. It's more clunky than Your Next. So it's like when Your Next does it better,
I would agree. It's like I'm actually kind of I'm kind of grabbing at straws right now to find things I like about this. So they kill Dad in essentially the way you would kill somebody in Age of Empires, where you just like put up a spike and they run into it. And he kills him, and Dad's killed, whatever. Birdie reveals at this point that she was gonna kill herself, but that now Winnie has shown her that her life is worth something. And that would have been that kind of a cool switch if they wouldn't have so explicitly just laid it out. So much so as Birdie says, I wasn't Clarence, you were. And it's like, God fucking damn it, guys. Like, have some respect for your audience.
Yeah.
A little bit. To know that they probably have seen It's a Wonderful Life and understand you've already done one cute little switch 'em up. Understand that we can figure out the switch 'em up without you fucking spelling it out for us. Right. It's just like, it's just, to say on the nose is an understatement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like when they spell it out like that, it's like you just took the wind out of your own sails so fucking hard. But now they're like, oh, you killed your dad and that didn't help. So that must mean we have to kill Henry Waters. And there was a really another painfully bad moment that really hammered home how little they think of their audience, which is after this moment, when she basically says to the Aurora Borealis, what I did what you wanted, help me out. And she says, and Bernie says, well, now we must kill Waters. And they agree on that. Or maybe they don't say it at that point, but they kind of look at each other and there's some assumption that like, oh, maybe we still have to kill Waters. That could potentially be part of the mystery that we're trying to solve, the cosmic mystery we're part of here. They actually have a scene where Winnie, I can't remember, it might be Winnie or Birdie or both, have their back to the camera, and one of them goes, we need to kill Waters. And it's dubbed over. And it's like, guys. Just the whole thing. And this is what I mean when I'm saying, like, because we jokingly use the phrase, like, this is a dumb movie for dumb babies, kind of thing. Yeah. Which it is off the bat. Right, but this is like a total lack of respect for the audience.
Yeah. It just even the fact that they had to question it, because it was always the original intention that you had to kill Henry Waters. Like, yeah, Henry Waters was...
Everyone knew that.
Yeah, Henry Waters was the killer. So it's...
Yeah.
Did he add Joel McHale as an accomplice? Yes. But you still have to kill the original guy who ruins the fucking town.
You have to fight the bad guy.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
We all know this. But Henry... This scene is really the low point of the whole movie. Henry, this is Justin Long's character once again, is in front of the whole town, and it's confusing and lazy in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
So he's holding this, I guess, Christmas Eve vigil kind of, I don't know, this ceremony with what feels like throughout the whole movie a pretty empty town.
Yeah.
So that's what also makes me feel like it's a Hallmark Christmas movie, because the Hallmark Christmas movies very rarely feel occupied, right? So now we're here and we're in the center of town, and you've got Henry Waters, his wife, who barely plays a part in the movie. And then you have his couple of goons, which could not be less threatening and couldn't be more ineffectual, standing there. And then they have this group of people, and the not audience, but the crowd, we've come to realize are essentially like just a bunch of like, they're really trying to communicate them as like drug addicts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know, meth heads, whatever, or heroin addicts, something. They're like zombies. And they even call them, what do they call them? Not zombies, but they use a very specific term several times.
I'm forgetting it at the moment.
Drones. They call them drones. And you're just like, what are you trying to communicate? Okay. So they're standing on stage, and he's like, well, we got a real family situation, you know, hey, we got a problem on our hands, whatever. And he's got Buck, who's the mayor, on stage, and Henry, in an enormous escalation, stabs his brother Buck, the sheriff, up through the chin, through his head with a knife.
Yeah.
In front of the quote unquote entire town, which actually is like 40 what look like unhoused people, but with glowing blue eyes.
Yeah.
So now what you thought was a quote unquote drone, you know, which were people that have just been kind of tricked by Henry Waters, are now actual
like
zombies, maybe
actually hypnotized.
Hypnotized is probably a better way of explaining what they look like. And Henry is on stage and kills his brother in cold blood in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This is an enormous departure from anything that has happened at this point.
Yeah. This movie tries to touch on the absurd and the surreal, but it never goes far enough.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say, because I'm going, this is kind of fun. I mean, surface level, what I just explained might be fun, but it's not, because they never go far enough. They never go, oh no, he actually hypnotized people and now everyone's a zombie and now they've got to fight their way through a zombie horde or something. Like that would have been like, whatever, but it would have been like, oh, okay, I'm on board. I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. But no, that's not what happens. What happens is blue-eyed, maybe in drug addicts, or maybe they're just hypnotized by him. It's never explained, but they're all just kind of in the periphery while he murders someone on stage. And then they never really play a role until a very specific point, and then nothing actually really happens with them. I'll explain what I mean. Henry kills Buck in front of the whole town, like we just said. And then they're raising the dead killer in the angel costume to the top of the tree where the angel would be.
Well,
but apparently...
Well, no, it's Buck that's in the costume. They dress Buck up as the angel, and they're raising him.
That fast? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's how clunky this is I missed that.
Yeah.
I thought they were raising David to the top of the tree.
No, I'm pretty sure they're
they
raising
didn't realize
Buck up.
Who killed them. So they put Buck in the costume that fast and am raising him to the top of the tree? But to what end?
As like this is the new tradition. This is the new sacrifice. That's why like I like the idea of this whole town going into this weird, bizarre stretch of like, now they're just like sacrificing people at Christmas.
Yeah, that would have been cool if we went straight up some weird old god shit or something. Like that would have been fine.
Yeah, like they're
but
doing.
I was so lost in what they were trying to accomplish.
Like this is year one Wicker Man shit is what they're up to.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But like, yeah, it's so clunky and so out of nowhere. aside from the other like little bits of absurdity that we've gotten, there's a movie that I talked about, which I'm getting reminded of a lot in comparison because it's a better movie, but the comedy Bottoms. Have you heard of that?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but no.
It's
I'm
new, and it's about like these two girls in high school who it's basically like an American Pie sex comedy, but like these two girls in high school start a fight club so they can like hit on chicks. Like they start a fight club to fuck other girls. It's it's funny.
Okay.
But like the world they live in is so absurd and dubious, and like shit is just on the nose, hilarious. And like that movie does what this movie feels like it wants to do better. So like in the time while we're talking, I also was reading something else. I was reading from the writer of this film.
Okay.
And this kind of goes back to like the representation and stuff. And I think maybe this will give us a better understanding of like what was being attempted. On the character of Jimmy, he said Jimmy was who he wanted it to be because it's like a self-insert. Like the writer of this film is gay, and he was also an athlete. So like Jimmy was a self-insert. And then everybody else being gay is...
That's not an excuse for a character that doesn't make sense in the context of the story.
It's not an excuse, but it's just a self-insert. But like, what he was attempting was, he says, there was a part of me that thought that this was the ultimate satirization of the Hallmark film, because he wanted to make a bunch of people gay because those Hallmark films are so straight. And so I think...
Well, it's like that would have been more poignant 5 years ago before they started making gay Hallmark films. So now there's a bunch of gay Hallmark films.
Okay. I'm not aware of that.
Not a bunch. But... Well, not a bunch. So here's the thing. It's like, and this is for you to not be in the inner sanctum of Hallmark movies. Here's what happened. And this is actually very interesting. And you're going to piss yourself a little bit, I think.
Okay.
So Hallmark movies are notoriously heteronormative, like the most straight things of all time. Right. In recent years, they have started. So like a handful, maybe a decade ago, I don't know. They started making more diverse ones, like specifically with like Black protagonists and cast and stuff like that. Right. And then everybody was like, oh, okay, you're being a little more inclusive, whatever. Well, a few years ago, and I'm just going to say a few because I don't know exactly when, but a few years ago, they started making some more, or I guess less heteronormative ones, right? So they started making ones with like gay or other characters involved with them. And some of the ultra right-wing fucking psycho, like Candace Cameron Bure and the actress who played Winnie Cooper. Speaking of it,
really?
So this has to be a reference because the character's name's Winnie in this.
Oh,
and I didn't even make the connection till now, which makes me feel very stupid because Winnie from the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Winnie was in a few years ago was in 30 to 40% of the Hallmark Christmas movies as a romantic lead.
Okay.
And her and Candace Cameron Bure.
Yeah. Bure.
Whatever her fucking name is. Who cares?
It's a hockey player.
Sucks.
That's why I know it.
She blows. Her and Winnie Cooper left and went over to some ultra right-wing conservative bullshit Family Time USA station because they were basically protesting the gayness on that Hallmark was trying to bring in.
Yeah.
So that's why her name is Winnie. That's gotta be.
Okay. Yeah, because I knew like Candace Cameron was like super right-wing and everything. I didn't know that she had moved on to a new channel because of that. But yeah,
it's called like Straight White USA, like, or whatever the fucking
Great American Family channel according to Dan.
Yes. Oh my God. That's even more on the nose than what I just said. God. Yeah. It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
So like these fucking right-wing fucking bigot shitbirds all went over there and then that's why her name is Winnie. I mean, it has to be, right?
Probably. Yeah. So yeah, and that's the next line in this interview with the writer of the film. He says like the straight Hallmark film, or maybe the Candace Cameron network, is what he says.
Okay.
But then he says, you know, what he's saying is like, these movies are so straight and so heteronormative. I thought, let's do the opposite. And it's like, as a queer person, if I have the ability, I'm going to do it. I was like, if I can put 6 queer characters on a movie, let's do that. No one can stop me. So that's cool. But if
that is fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool if that's what you want to do. And my point would be, is just like, if you're trying to make a parody of those films, make way, way more people gay.
We'll make everyone gay, and also like just make it more surface level Hallmarky, because like it's just like you had a great idea that I genuinely love, like to be transgressive and make a queer Hallmark movie, like an ultra over the top queer Hallmark movie, is fucking great.
Right.
I think that sounds so fucking sick, but you fucking pulled up. You just pulled up. You know, you had Joel McHale and Justin Long and whoever, not to say that that's what influenced it, but you were leaning in, and then you fucking pulled back on the reins.
Yeah. Oh,
it didn't land.
It definitely wouldn't have been Justin Long causing them to pull up, because he's played one of the greatest gay characters ever in the Kevin Smith films. So like,
that's true. I'm not saying it was those characters who did it, but I'm just like, once you start getting more money involved, now you have more cooks in the kitchen, and ultimately what I mean to say is no matter what you can't deny they pulled up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's,
and for that reason, it didn't land.
Yeah.
The whole thing didn't fucking land.
And that's what I'm getting at is overall, they didn't go far enough with anything. They didn't go far enough on the kills. They didn't go far enough with this absurdity of like how the alternate dimension should be. Like it's kind of absurd, and then like this last scene is crazy, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Super like ultra queer Christmas horror movie is the fucking best thing I ever heard in my life.
Right.
Like that sounds so much fun.
Yes,
fucking that sounds so much fun. Like have Ty West direct the gayest Christmas horror movie of all time.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yes,
I'm fucking all for it. This just felt like they pulled up so hard.
Yeah, it does. Because I mean, like, there's a whole, like, there's just, even though that we have representation of a gay character, a lesbian couple, and then I guess maybe a bi character in Winnie, like we could have. There's just so much more to the spectrum. You could do so many, like I said, like, include a furry character, include, you know, a character who does drag, do like everything, to piss off, you know. Yeah.
Everyone's uncles.
Yeah.
Like, just piss off your uncle.
Yeah.
In every sense in the word.
Yeah. Do it all. Make everybody uncomfortable. That's what it should be. Like, that's how you make a piece of art, is you make people uncomfortable.
Bring the fucking Boulay brothers in.
Yes.
Like, just go so
you're on the
over
same
the top
fucking network.
Yeah. Bring them over. Like, just make everyone's uncle so uncomfortable. But anyway, so here's the laziness of the climactic scene, which I was just like, it's just so at odds with the most fun, over the top, transgressive queer horror that I've seen. Like I keep saying Knife Plus Heart, but like I fucking love that movie, and it's just such a great example of like just some going over the top. They do this whole scene where like just Winnie and Birdie just like beat the shit out of Henry Waters, Justin Long's character, on stage, while everyone just stands there and watches. And then they stab him, and he just like puts up zero fight, and the town just like exits their trance, but and then grabs him, but you never really see the ramifications of that. And then Winnie says she was there to help Birdie, and then they like kiss. And then she wakes up, and she's getting the present she wanted. She gets a camera, but she's still wearing the fucking pink workout clothes. So it's like, did that happen or did it not happen? Whatever. You can be ambiguous. That's fine. But literally there's a 30-second span, and I'm not even saying 30 seconds of dialogue. I'm saying 30 seconds of screen time where every single thing that happened in the movie gets solved.
Mm-hmm.
And really it gets solved in 12 to 15 seconds of dialogue.
Yeah.
And it's just so lazy and dumb and bad.
Yeah. The turn of the parents is so bad. Like, hey, we're sorry we ignored you. And then here's your camera. And then, okay, bye. And then, hello, movie house. And then Bernie. It's like,
yeah,
okie doke.
I'm okay. Like, don't belabor. Don't do the thing that the magic puppy, aka Halloween puppy adventure, aka whatever, magic puppy or whatever. Well, you know when they did that, where they took 30 seconds to explain why the puppy wasn't there anymore, or not 30 seconds, took like 3 minutes to explain why the puppy wasn't there. And everyone's like, "Who cares? That didn't need to be there." Okay, they did the exact opposite, where it's like everything that happened gets solved in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's just there's a middle ground, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a middle ground to it. And it's also just, again, I feel like they're trying to be quick and silly because Hallmark movies do that. But
yeah, I get it. That's my only note that maybe is forgiving around that, is like, that's what happens in Hallmark movies. So fine. That's what happens here. But you have to have the emotional climax of the movie,
mm-hmm.
which in the Hallmark movies is, this guy or girl, it could be the protagonist or her love interest, but she or he were going to do business in the place where she doesn't want business to happen. So we're mad about it, but ultimately that gets resolved. But there is a climactic moment where they kiss and all this sort of thing. This gets kind of fucking sidetracked because Winnie wakes up and it's Christmas morning. So it's a little Ebenezer Scroogey, like, oh, it's Christmas morning. What day is it today? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, but okay, fine. Winnie remembers Bernie. Oh my God, Bernie. She was going to kill herself. I hope she doesn't kill herself. So she starts running down the street to save Bernie. And this would have been a great opportunity for us to go like, because the only character we care about is Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
And no one cares about anybody in this movie except for Bernie. So you're like, damn, I really hope Bernie doesn't kill herself. That'd be a pretty big bummer.
Right.
But as she's running down the street to because she remembers Bernie, she does a whole George Bailey bit.
Yeah. Hello.
About like,
it's the movie house.
Hello, old building and loan. Yeah, the whole fucking thing. And you're like, why are you happy? You're scared that your love interest killed themselves.
Yeah. Well,
but you're having a fun old Christmas morning now.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. See, that's what's confusing. Again, they've muddled up what the character motivations are. So in the alternate dimension, Bernie actually was going to kill herself. And that's also because like her family's dead and everything.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, maybe in this world, she doesn't want to kill herself.
Right.
Fine. But why does Winnie act like, oh my God, Bernie, jumps over the back of the couch with some sense of urgency. But then 5 seconds later, the sense of urgency's gone. Yeah. And she's, hello, old building and loan.
Yeah.
You know, she's doing the whole thing. And it's like, pick one or the other.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't think about, I actually wasn't, I don't know. You're making me think about it because I didn't think about it at the time because everything was just happening so fast. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's see.
This was the first part in the movie I cared about anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, hope Bernie didn't kill herself.
Well, yeah.
And that would be cool if they landed up because Kate was like, no, they were holding hands in the theater. So there was something romantic going on there. And I was like, I don't think so. I think they were just being silly friends.
Yeah.
And Kate was like, no, they were definitely romantic. And I was like, and then when they kissed before the whole, and then I was like, oh, okay, you're right. They were romantic. Mm-hmm. So now we want them to have a romantic ending.
Right.
And then when it's wake up, oh, I hope my girlfriend didn't kill herself. I'm like, oh, now I care literally for the first time in the whole movie. And then she's running down the street to her ex-boyfriend going, you guys are actually really cute together. I'm like, God. And I'm just like, bitch, why do you care about them when your actual love
you got places to be
have killed herself? You know what I mean?
But see, that's the thing. I think it's a flip of the coin because the motivation is muddy. It's a flip of the coin whether or not you thought that. Because I wasn't thinking about did Bernie kill herself, because I just assumed because we're back in the other dimension, she wasn't suicidal. She was just an outcast. You know what I'm saying? So like, I
guess so. But
I
like,
think
why was there a sense of urgency initially then?
Just to go see her. Because like, I think we're both, I think we're both right. It's just a flip of the coin, whether or not you thought about that or not. Like, I think we're both right in this because it's not that strongly written, but like, it's urgency to go see Bernie. And then it's like, you don't know if Bernie remembers anything. You don't know what, anything means, but like still Bernie is an outcast in this universe. So Winnie still wants to do her best to get back to Bernie and like interact with her.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. And I would have agreed with you until she opens up the door.
Yeah.
Because when she opens up the door, Bernie basically, so she sees Bernie and she's like, oh, I don't remember what she says, but she expresses some relief that she's not dead.
Yes.
And then that's when I'm like, oh no, she was worried she had killed herself.
See that, like, yeah, I was on board at that point, but I hadn't thought about it until then. So everything else about the movie house and shit, I was just like, they're just doing silly reference, whatever. I get it. And then, because she's like, oh, you didn't kill yourself. And then Bernie, replies with, what are you doing here, batch?
Well, then and then Bernie plays a silly trick.
Yeah.
Where she pretends she doesn't remember the whole thing, but then reveals that does remember and she was there in the beginning.
Yeah. Which is fine. I like that. I mean,
that's fine, but like maybe, I don't know, suicide just seems a little bit bleaker than maybe what you guys are all letting on here.
Yeah. It was a bit much. It was like now thinking back about it, that is a silly juxtaposition to do the Wonderful Life stuff and, do the couple resolution, while we're on our way to suicide. Well, because I mean, that was a theme in the original movie. In It's a Wonderful Life, the whole idea is like George Bailey's kind of thinking about killing himself. Like that's why everyone talks about how that, like, people who don't like that movie, I love that movie. People who don't like that movie talk about how depressing it is. It's because George Bailey was going to maybe kill himself. Right.
So there's suicide involved. So it's pretty fucking heavy. So I understand that they wanted to like respect that heaviness, but just this movie doesn't earn it. No. So it feels so off. Anyway, it is what it is. I think what I can tell, we've talked about this movie for a long time, but it's actually more fun to talk about than I expected. I feel like we've come closer to a middle point because like, I feel like you had this movie at like a 6 or a 7 and I had this movie at like a 3 or 4 and now we've both come to a 5.
I definitely had it like a 6.5 because I was just like, it's just a funny silly movie, but like now
I had it like I honestly I had it probably like a 3.5 4 and now I feel like we've come together as a bit of a 5, which is, guys, it's the meaning of Christmas. I feel like we've discovered the full meaning of Christmas here.
The meaning of Christmas is mid.
The meaning of Christmas is mid, and Christmas is written by dumb babies for dumb babies. That's pretty much what it comes out to. But it wasn't without fun, right? I mean, the whole thing had some fun to it. But it's just like, it's poor. It's not even poorly written. It's just like written without really much care. And then also there's quite a bit of shitty acting and directing, but it's not like for lack of an ability. It's more of a lack of like, we're just not going to give this movie that much effort.
Yeah. So the writer of the film only has like 4 credits to his name. I've never seen the TV show Border Town. And then he has the 2020 film Freaky, which was Vince Vaughn doing the Freaky Friday swap for a slasher.
I remember when that came out, but that's it.
Yeah. So like, and then It's a Wonderful Knife. So like his credits aren't that deep. And then the director, Tyler McIntyre, like I already mentioned, his film Tragedy Girls deals with a lot of the same stuff, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just better. And also like there's some real extreme imagery in that film too. I didn't mention that at all yet. I just completely.
So it's worth seeing.
I think it's worth seeing. I think it's a lot better film than this. This feels like it was a fun idea that was hastily slapped together.
That was my very last sentence. Felt really slapped together. I actually used that phrase. My very last note.
Yeah, because like the elements are there, and it winds up playing. Fine, but it's just like should have gone more extreme. Like if you want to make fun of heteronormativity, whatever. If you want to make fun of that,
what the fuck? Heteronormativity, I guess?
Yes, heteronormativity. If you want to make fun of that in the Hallmark films, go even farther in your film.
Yeah.
Go extreme. If you want to be an absurd Wicker Man finish, go to the extreme. If you want
let the audience in on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Don't just do it for yourself.
Right.
Let the audience in on this.
Exactly. The more you do it, the more, because again, back to that film Bottoms, that movie is just so in your face with how silly it is.
Yeah.
You can't help but just go, oh, this is like making a parody of every thing.
Well, you wonder if like, and maybe I'm getting softer by the minute on this movie, but like you almost wonder, it's like, okay, well, if you do that, do now the industry, especially like the industry publications and shitty dumbasses who say stuff on Twitter about the industry, all of a sudden label you as queer horror. And now all of a sudden, you get less eyes on it, or it feels more niche-y or whatever. So like the whole thing is a balancing act. And I guess I can appreciate
Fair enough.
that.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Cause I mean, like, again, like I was saying before, this is a 2 PM film for everybody. So yeah. I guess you go to the extremes that we want, you tip the balance the wrong way. So, all right.
Yeah. I could appreciate that.
I get it.
Anyway, here's what we got. We got a movie, and it's called It's a Wonderful Knife, which is just a pretty good title. I'm not going to lie. And it is a fucking mid plus. That's what we got here. So you know what? I'm not going to say don't watch it. I had fun watching it. I definitely, at no point was I was like, Jesus Christ, I wish I wouldn't have watched that. Unlike The Killing Tree, which I genuinely was mad that I spent time from my life on. This is not that. This is totally serviceable, fun silliness. So go check it out. It's a Shudder exclusive. It is streaming. If you got a Shudder subscription, you have absolutely no reason why not to go check this out. It is worth a watch. It's got some enjoyable folks in it, and you know what, is it going to set the world on fire? Certainly not, but it sounds like we're in agreement that it's worth a watch. So
it'll be the kind of, I don't know anything else that's super big coming out right now for holiday horror. So I think this will be the dominant holiday horror for this year.
It does seem like that. And I haven't double checked, but like to see if anything else is coming out, but it felt like Thanksgiving, Eli Roth Thanksgiving, which we already talked about, was like, that was the big one. Even though it wasn't Christmas. And then doesn't seem like this one is the other one people have been talking about. So
yeah, like I know there's other movies coming out that are holiday horror that but I just don't think they're getting the same release and the same energy behind
there's
them.
no violent night, and even though that's not horror, I guess I think that's probably more like actiony.
Yeah,
like there is no violent night type of movie coming out this year, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I think honestly the big one, and again, it's action probably close to horror, is the John Woo movie that's coming out called Silent Night.
Oh, I'm not even really up to speed with what's going on with that.
It's John Woo's first film in Hollywood in forever, and it stars Joel Kinnaman, and apparently there's no dialogue in the film because like the whole setup is basically Punisher, like a gang
sick
gang warfare shoots this guy and his kid. They kill his kid and take away his ability to speak. And then he fucking trains for a year or a month or whatever, and then goes on a killing rampage and kills everybody. So
this sounds sick as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on board.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go check that out. That sounds fun.
Go check out Godzilla. Godzilla -1. That's what I'm fucking on about.
you're horned up about that.
I'm all horned up about
man.
Godzilla.
Hey, I almost wonder, you know what? I was actually, interestingly enough, coincidentally, just thinking about that this afternoon. I was like, what are we going to get into after the new year? After the holidays over, we don't got a holiday horror. What are we going to do? It's like, we haven't really, it'd be kind of cool to do just like a whole month of kaiju films. That would be kind of fun. And maybe we'll do that. I don't know. Give us a suggestion, guys. If you got anything else going on out there, you think something we should focus on. Maybe you got some movie suggestions for the remainder of December. We got plenty of the month left here to talk about holiday horror. Throw us a line. We always appreciate it over on the social medias. And of course, if you feel so inclined, join us over on the Patreon. So you can jump in here and chat us up about any manner of nonsense that you have. So anything else, Steve, we should talk about this here movie?
No, it's okay. And then go rewatch Christmas Bloody Christmas, or watch it for the first time. That movie fucking
Christmas
rules.
Bloody Christmas. Fun as fuck. You're gonna love it. And also, Jack Frost and all that stuff. And we're gonna have much more holiday horror coming for you here in the coming weeks. So that being said, boys and ghouls, 2.5 hours, it's fine. That's what we
ultimately we come down on. That's fine.
That's fine. I love that. That's pretty much the theme of our podcast. 2.5 hours, it's fine. All right, boys and ghouls. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Movie House.
All right. We'll see. Well, just hold on a second. We'll see. We'll see you later. Bye. Bye.
Bye.